Hey, it's a great time of the year to be shipping your fruit gift to whoever you love, friends, family, anywhere. Hale Groves announcing their all-new store to the public. Get some ice-cold, fresh-squeezed orange juice. Hale Groves, the best today, out on 90th Avenue. That's right off of Route 60 on 90th Avenue. You'll see Hale Groves. You can get a nice, wonderful ice cream cone. Hale Groves. Ship your fruit now. Get out there. You can ship it right from that location on 90th Avenue.
'Tis the holiday season, and it's time to think green. Time to reuse and recycle, if you know what I mean. Recycle your wrapping paper. That's one way to start. It's easy with Single Stream. It just goes in the blue cart. Now how about those packing peanuts made out of styrofoam? They can be reused in your packaging and sent to another home. Bring them back to any pack mail or perhaps a UPS store and visit ircrecycles.com if you want to learn more. Happy holidays from the Solid Waste Disposal District of Indian River County.
As the body's largest organ, skin is the great protector. Skin cancer is the most common of all cancers. Protect the health of your skin with regular exams by a board-certified dermatologist. Specializing in the treatment of skin cancer, Treasure Coast Dermatology has offices in Martin, St. Lucie, and Indian River counties, with their newest location in Vero Beach. Call toll-free 877-870-DERM. That's 877-870-3376.
Christmas is about to arrive in Vero Beach, direct from Ireland, this Saturday night, 7 p.m., Vero Beach High School. This is the Christmas spectacular you don't want to miss. The Celtic Angels, the Shiva Quintet, the Celtic Night Dancers, Trinity Band from Dublin, and more. There are still tickets available. Take the entire family this Saturday night, 7 p.m., Vero Beach High School. VeroBeachSchools.tix.com. That's VeroBeachSchools.tix.com. Affordable at only $35 a seat. Call 772-564-5537. 564-5537. All right, we're having a little technical difficulty there. So that's all right. All right. Please turn her mic down a little bit if you would. Turn mine up a little bit. And, okay, you can bring back the victims now. Hello? Hello.
Hi. Hello.
Hey.
Hello.
Hey, okay.
Hello.
Hello. Hello, hello, hello. They used to do that at the Rotary Club here. We had this guy who escaped Cuba, but he has this really deep voice. Ortega. And he would always sing that. Did you guys ever go to Rotary clubs?
I used to,
no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so anyway, I think we just came upon something off air, though. I think that this April, we know that Thomas is going to be speaking, and we're thinking maybe of broadcasting from this convention that they're going to be putting on. Explain what's going to happen in April, if you would, Thomas.
Yeah, it's essentially a mini conference. It's a one-day conference on a Sunday, and I'll be there with my chief clinical officer from Calo programs. His name is Rob Gent, and we give an opportunity to give sort of a high-level overview of my story, but we take the story beyond a little deeper this time, where we talk about what kind of impact this stuff has had on my life more currently, and how that has influenced my relationships as a father, as a husband, and my career and things of that nature. So we try to make things a little more contemporary, since usually in my Healing the Dark Side of Adoption journey story, I tell what happened from early in life up to the search and reunion, and then ultimately meeting my father, and then reuniting both my birth parents at my son's graduation. But we don't usually have the time to sort of get into what kind of impact all that stuff had on your current functioning, and how you doing today. How does that influence things today in your marriage and things like that? So I think there's a lot of adult adoptees, the closed record adoption folks that are getting older in life now. there's a lifelong impact here that has to be addressed. And sometimes there's people out there, similar to James, haven't even met their parents until late in life, or didn't even learn they were adopted until late in life, and they've always known something was up, but they couldn't put their finger on it. And so having this kind of open dialogue gives people, and sometimes it's transformative for people. So that's what we're going to give people the opportunity to interact with and ask their questions and see where it goes.
Sounds good. So that's where my nephew James. That's where you met Thomas.
Yeah, and I think I'll ask Cece to fly down too, which is my paternal sister, Thomas. And my natural mother, I bet, will come again. She was there the first time.
Really? Was she?
Yeah.
Hey, it'd be a good excuse for us all to be together too.
We were the only other natural mother and child in the room. There were a lot of adoptive parents in the room.
Okay.
And Rhett, by the way, my birth mother was there, and I had three sons of mine there as well. So we actually, during that time, I was able to actually seduce those guys into coming and participating a little bit and answer some questions. So it's always powerful when you have a birth mother. I would have loved to be able to do a presentation with my birth mother, my mom, and myself, the complete the adoption triad or triangle that it's called. Because in these things, you have to be sensitive and compassionate to every side of that triangle, which is the birth mom, the adoptive mom, and the adopted person. Those three are really important when it comes to understanding and treating this stuff.
So, okay, well, what do we talk about next, James?
What do we talk about next?
Yeah, where were we before we were so rudely interrupted by the news? I know.
I just met my birth mother. The stuff that's pretty powerful is when I met my birth father, how I met my birth father, and then bringing my birth father and my birth mother together for the first time.
Hold on. Let's set it up. Hold on. Now, you have you have your parents, who are the people who adopted you, who you love very much. Yep. Your father dies at 14, this parent, who you just cherish and love. Same thing happened to James. He loses his father. I don't know what was medically. It doesn't really matter. But he dies. And both of you are traumatized. Now, all of a sudden, you want to find your roots, but the government stands in your way, which should be illegal, so you cannot get the information until you're 18, but you bide your time, and the day you turn 18, you're downtown, you say, I want my birth certificate. So let's go from there.
Okay, great.
Take it, Thomas.
Oh, okay. So ultimately, that became several years of a journey of trying to figure out how I was going to get these records. And people were very, understanding of. They wanted to hear the story, but nobody could actually do anything about it until ultimately I realized that was just not going to happen. So I went through the black market essentially in order to find my birth mother. And once I did that, then it became a process of another 20-something years of trying to figure out how can I find my birth father? Because I had a lot of fantasies. Adopted people often have fantasies about, as you're walking down the street, you're going, could that be my father? I mean, I had this dream that I would walk past him in a grocery store.
Yes.
And if I did, the world would come to a stop for 1 second, and we both looked at each other and would go, there it is. We're connected.
You're carrying a torch for this hope, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a long-lost love that you're never going to get back, but you think you see her everywhere. She's in the crowd. Yeah. She's by the ocean. Yeah. She just drove by. She's at a red light. You're looking all over constantly. I know. I've lived it. I know what you're talking about, man. And it's really carrying... Huh?
I'm so you're done. Sorry.
No, go ahead, James. What were you going to say?
Thomas, what do you mean when you said you went to the black market to find your mom? Please explain that a little.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, there was my sister went to the University of Rhode Island, and she saw a pamphlet that was just up on the like you were to see the off-campus housing announcements, and it says, "Are you adopted?" So it caught my sister's eye, and she brought it home and says, "If you're adopted, we can help." So I called the guy, and like I said, because I had some of the basic information. I just had to pay him $100, and he could get that information for me. And he made the phone call, and I got that on tape, as I said. And then we arranged for the reunion. And so I met her down in Westerly, Rhode Island, at a bar actually, and that's where I met Gordon Dalton, who was her husband at the time. And I ended up naming my third son after him because he was such a positive influence on my life. And then it began, just getting to know her and figuring out how to integrate her, or if I could integrate her. And that's been a lifelong process in and of itself. But I was able to get her to make our first joint presentation at the American Adoption Congress conference last year, believe it or not, in Atlanta, Georgia. So that was a healing process for both of us to be able to tell this story, and what it was like for her to receive that first phone call from a foreign guy saying, hey, this baby is all grown up now, and he'd like to know who you are. So for her to have the courage to say, okay, let's do it, is a testament to her courage and our relationship. So then it became a process, another 20-something years of trying to track down Arthur Davis Jr., which was the name of my birth father. And that, I called every single Arthur Davis Jr. in the country. I wrote them all letters. And it took me many, many years until one day, by haphazard, I was frustrated. I could not get an answer. I called the Bethlehem Historical Society because I knew that's where the Davises were from that area. Just by this older woman picks up the phone and says, hello, and I'm like, so I tell her a little bit of the story, and she goes, Arthur Davis Jr., and I think he built my house. So next thing you know, she gave me a lead, and the lead was in Mesa, Arizona. And I knew from my phone calls and my research that there were only 2 Arthur Davis Jr.'s in Arizona. So I kept calling. One of the phones got disconnected. So I had it down to one call. And then finally, it's a long story, so you'll have to come on April 8th to hear. But but ultimately, an older woman picked up the phone, and I immediately went, oh, my God, I have a grandmother that's still alive. Hello? I'm like, yeah, I'm looking for Arthur Davis Jr. She goes, oh, you just missed him. And I'm like, oh, my, would you like his cell phone number? I'm like, yeah. So she gave me his cell phone number. And long and short of it was I couldn't get a hold of him. I didn't realize he was a snowbird, and he went between Mesa, Arizona, and New Hampshire. But at the time I was trying to call him, he was up in the Grand Canyon, and he hadn't got any of his mail because he was a snowbird. So the letter that I mailed to every Arthur Davis Jr. was sitting in a pile in his house, and I couldn't get through the cell phone because he was in the Grand Canyon where there was no reception. So I ended up calling this older woman back. And I finally, my wife was like, tell her. So I finally told her the story, and she says to me, we've never had that discussion before. And next thing you know, I'm having this 2-hour conversation with my grandmother. My word. And what I learned was that she had adopted a daughter that was my father's sister growing up. Subsequently, she had passed, and that she had remembered my birth mother. And that ultimately, by the time we get off the phone, she just said to me, I love you. And we hung up the phone. Oh, my word. And I waited for the phone call to ring. Another couple of weeks went by, and I finally get this call from this guy saying, who are you and why are you calling my mother? And I told him the story, and I asked him to read the letter that I had sent him. And he said, okay, I'll tell you what. I can't remember. It's a long time ago, but I'll tell you what. I come back that way in September, and I'll give you a call, and we'll have a cup of coffee and straighten this out. So I'm like, okay. So I wait a couple of months.
Now, this is your dad? This is your dad?
This is my birth father. Yeah, this is my birth father, Arthur Davis
So he
Jr.
wants to put the pieces together to see if he really,
Yeah. He couldn't remember.
Believe it.
He had checkered past that I now that, he had some alcohol issues when he was younger, and so it all started to come together. And that kind of thing. So
I know where that's at. She goes, hey, did we have dinner last night? Yes, you ate 3 plates of spaghetti. I did? I said, listen, damn it, if I'm going to eat all those calories, I damn well want to be sober enough to remember it. That's supposed to be funny, guys.
It was.
Yeah. Play the applause again. Very good, Mr. B.
Yeah, that's his.
So tell us. I want to hear about this meeting when he finally comes down.
This is exciting.
That area.
This is exciting. People right now, they're really ticked off. What are you doing with these sound effects? So what happened over the cup of coffee?
So he a man of his word. A couple months go by, and he finally calls on a Saturday morning, and he says, "Hey, come on down to the beach, and I'll be in the largest vehicle in the parking lot." So I drive down to the beach, and there he is in this 50-foot motorhome. So I knock on the door. The door opens. I take 2 steps up into the motorhome, and I look at him. He looks at me, and he goes, "Well, we're not going to need a DNA test for this one." Because we looked like identical twins, only he was about 3 inches taller than me, but we both have no hair. We're both bald, shaved heads, and similar, facial features. And next thing you know, we're sitting down talking.
Now hold on. Now, I'm a syrupy kind of guy because when James first called me, I kept crying privately. Did you guys hug and have tears in your eyes or?
God, I wish I could remember that moment. I think it was more like have a seat, and a beer.
Yeah, it is funny. It's funny how you can think about things like I kept thinking about when I met James, that I'd be blubbering all over the place. Of course, then I got to the airport out in Portland, and he and Cece and the family decided to go out and eat. So Uncle Rhett arrived at the airport, and he can never take it back. Nobody was there for me. I just lumbered around the airport at midnight. I'm lumbering around.
Early.
I'm hungry. I'm supposed to be.
Sensitive you are.
I'm supposed to be hugging my.
Those issues.
Huh?
You see how sensitive you are to those issues, those feelings of loss, abandonment, rejection. That's your stuff right there, man.
Yeah. Well, I like that stuff. I like to milk it for all it's worth, too.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah. So James. When we make the movie, we'll have to reenact that and hug each other and really cry.
Yeah, it's funny because I didn't cry at either of my reunions. Honestly, I mean, I did it. I did a lot of crying on the phone. I did a lot of crying ahead of time, but meeting. I didn't cry meeting any of my family members. My grandmother was the closest one, actually. Yeah. When her reaction, because she didn't expect me. Like everyone else knew that we were meeting, it was planned, right? But my grandmother had no idea. She came out of left field, and her reaction to seeing me and learning who I was just amazing. And
but I
cried a little.
I have another theory, though. You could trust an old person to be sincere, whereas when you get with the human being, we've been wounded so much, it's very hard to go, hey, wait a second, until I know. It's kind of like when I go to a movie. If I'm by myself and there's nobody around me, I can cry. But if I got, Barbara's with me or somebody else is near me or there's people right behind me and, it's like, and I'm known in this community, got billboards and stuff. And so it's like, I'm the radio guy and it's like, oh, I can't let anybody see me cry, so I'll have to rent the movie again when it comes out, But anyway, so enough of that crap. Let's move along here. So
I think it's a good point, though. I think the point is this.
Yeah.
And you both reinforce the same thing. It's that because you've been wounded early in life.
Yeah.
That it's hard to trust. It's hard to know if it's real. Yeah. It's hard to leave yourself vulnerable again.
Yeah.
So it just takes some time. So even though I look at this guy and I'm like, part of me is like mad at him. Like, what do you mean you were part of this whole thing? I mean, you know what I mean? So you don't really know where you stand. So there's a lot of questions that have to be answered. And so there's a lot of ambivalence. So it's hard to so I totally get why, you wouldn't be bawling your brains out when this whole thing